Today, I am aware of something and I want to share that with you. And this awareness is about the difference between awareness and attachment. So, we live in a world where things are happening around us, where there are things that we do need to be aware of. And being aware means being conscious, being informed, and also being in a place where you can help inform others. Okay, that is awareness. And that's how we help expand the awareness of ourselves and those around us. But some of us are attached instead of just being aware. What attachment looks like is being aware of the thing and see it as being handcuffed to it. That this issue, this thing that's happening, is dragged into every part of your life. You are constantly reminded of it. You feel burdened by it. You feel victim to it. And the attachment is really your inability to rise to the perspective of the solution. When you are attached to what has happened to you, to what is happening in the world, it means that you are still at the perspective of the problem. In fact, you are so attached to it that you are chained to it. But if you are aware and you are opening yourself up to the solution to that challenge, you are now expanding into the realm of possibilities. You are no longer attached. You are able to see possibilities that exist around you to address, to overcome, to inspire and create solutions for the challenge. Now, I want to make this really clear. Am I saying that anyone who is talking about a problem in the world, are they attached to it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Attachment is a mindset. Attachment means you can't give me a solution to that problem. You just want to repeat the problem over and over again. A great example of this is the belief that there will always be poor, there will always be people who are oppressed, and that means that either you're on one side or the other. Anytime that you say that this is how the world works, you are attached. You can be very aware of some of the things, and you can be very true, very accurate about that. But if you say that systemic racism will always exist, you are attached to that problem. You are attached to that. Now, awareness looks quite different. Awareness says systemic racism exists in our policing systems, for example, I'll give you, or even the judicial system. Yesterday, I was in court with my son in a county that's outside of where we live, and it's very rural. And I did not see any black faces in the courtroom, in the court side. So that should tell you what I mean by this, right? And I watched the judge see people who were black and Latino and white, and for the same offense, and the offense was driving without proper registration, I saw 3 different judgments as far as fines for the same issue, for the same thing, driving without proper registration. One person got 75, one person got 100, and another person got 150. I'll let you guess which was which. Anyway, so being aware of systemic racism is to see that, to know that there is another solution, which is we do not go by the judge's discretion on what the fine should be, because people inherently carry bias. There should always be a standardized fine for whatever the infraction is, period, right? That is a solution. And so advocating for that to overcome systemic racism, that is being aware but not attached. Again, attachment says this will always be. Non-attachment and awareness says this exists and this is a solution that I see. I think that when we see a problem, we are often the person who has part of the vision of how to find the solution. And if there are people who don't see the problem, we cannot expect them to have the solution, because it's not a problem. It's not a challenge for them. So when it comes to awareness and attachment, I want you to think about how you're approaching what is happening in our world. Are you just talking about all of the bad things that are happening and parroting them and sharing them? And yes, creating awareness, right? But are you in a place where you are visioning the solution? That is how you step out of attachment. That's how you step out of being chained to the problem. That is how we make change. There's a saying, if you're not changing it, you are choosing it. If you are attached to it and you are not putting yourself in the position to be inspired, to think of solutions that are ecologically sound, right? The solution is never, well, let's just try to overpower them. The solution, that's the easy one, right? And it's never the right one. But the solution always comes from inspired action, from inspired thought, from visioning, from non-attachment to the challenge that you're seeing. So I want to encourage you to observe your interactions throughout the day. And, listen, we're all guilty of this at some time because we're human, we're not perfect. But the intention is for us to be aware. That's what I'm sharing this for. We're going to be aware of how we are showing up in the world, aware of what we're attached to, aware of how we can shift our thinking and our mindset and our heart to become a part of the solution, to release ourselves, to unchain ourselves from the challenge and rise to the realm of possibilities. We do this through visioning, sacred visioning with intention. We do this within community, having high conversation, collaborative conversations about the challenge. We do this through our inspired action. Because here's the thing, we can also get into a place where we are thinking about the solution and that we are talking about the solution. But if we are not putting our feet to the pavement and hitting that inspired action, it is still a thought. We are still chained. We have to take the action of removing the shackles from ourselves and taking steps in a direction of the solution. So again, today, this week, I want you to recognize the times in which you are repeating and ruminating and marinating in problems or you are commiserating, right, in the problems that you are seeing. And see that ruminating, that marinating, that commiserating as a chain that has you stuck, that has you attached to that problem. You will never break free. But if you begin to see the problem and say, I am seeing this so that I can be a part of creating the solution. What do I see? How can I address this in my personal life? What conversations can I start to begin to inspire others to see possibilities instead of problems? You know, I think this is the big challenge right now. This is what we really need to be focused on. And unfortunately, fear and chaos are really good at keeping our attention off of the things that can actually support us in creating great change in the world. So let us be aware and actively seeking the inspired action, and let us release ourselves from the attachment of the problem.